Someone like to talk about vortex change. A lot of people don't think it's possible for people to change. I think that your core person stays the same. The person that you are when you're a kid, that tends to stay the same. Thank you so much for the turn signal, Lexus. Hope they caught that kiss. Probably not. But anyway, I was thinking about how I've changed as a person quite a bit. I've changed, like, not my core, but, you know, a lot of things that I believe, a lot of things that my identity, rather. Certain things that I thought were so important, I no longer think are important. You can't force change. I think that one of the biggest problems in our society is that we do that. We try to make people go against their own nature. Why do you think this world is so screwed up? It's like everybody can't wait to commit suicide some kind of way, you know? Whether they do that through identity, or they do that through the culture, or they do that through various addictions. I mean, there's alcohol, there's drugs, there's technology, there's the entertainment industry that's constantly warping your brain with a bunch of garbage, you know? There's just no shortage of things to get addicted to in this country. I would say that this country's a lot worse because of all the capitalist options, okay? And they're not going to advertise the good ones. They're not going to advertise the ones that are actually really, really good for you, like health-wise. I have a friend of mine at church that has a light phone. When I went on my typical smartphone rant, he pulled out his light phone and he showed me this, and I was so impressed with it. And I looked it up. And you know, they're not advertising this shit. Of course they're not, because the whole point of the cell phone companies is to get you hooked on their products, you know, because they think of you as nothing more than a drug addict. Because that's essentially what you've allowed yourself to become. Think about that. Think about how badly they want you to buy their fucking dope. And they're always going to be tempting you. I don't really understand. This is where I disagree tremendously with a lot of people in the 12-step programs. They talk about, like, knowing your triggers and avoiding your triggers. That's complete crap, okay? You want to get over your triggers, you got to face them. You got to face them like a man and stop being a whiny little bitch that runs away from everything, okay? Go to a bar and force yourself to be around that. You'll realize real quick why sobriety is better, okay? Now, I love being around drunk people. I really do. I enjoy that. Unless people are getting rowdy and being violent or something like that. But I don't know. I tend to like drunk people because they love me. They love me. They find me really funny. They really, really want to hang out with me. What's cool about drunk people is that they'll always ask the questions that they really want to ask when they're sober, but they don't know how. There was this other female comic who was totally shit-faced, and she had never, ever spoken to me before this evening. And she told me, I'm only telling you this because I'm really drunk right now, but I think that you're so amazing. She's like, you're one of the funniest people in this whole scene. It was pretty cool talking to her. Because she's really funny too. She's one of the few women that feel is the exception to the rule. But you know, we don't change the rules to fit the exception. All the people that want the rules to be changed are never the exception to those rules, ever. All these women that complain about how they don't have enough rights. Yes, we haven't trampled over men enough, you know? We need more opportunities to do that. It's not fair. It's not fair that we don't put ourselves in more dangerous situations where we can complain about getting raped, you know? Like being in the military or doing police work. Think about it like this. The whole reason why they did that, the whole reason why they put women in the position with men is because, oh shit. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I love you, Vortex. What was I saying? The only reason why they gave women the same positions as men is so that they could give women even more to complain about. As if that's even remotely difficult. All the women do is whine, okay? So they put themselves in the same position as men, and then they can complain about, oh, they're not getting paid as much, or they're not treated right. But you wanted to be treated like men, and now they're treating you like men, and you have a problem with it because you're a fucking woman. Hello, bitch. Hello. Ring, ring, ring. I know you're always on the motherfucking phone. I mean, it's just so aggravating. Like, every woman that I work with acts like a man. And a lot of the men that I work with act like women now. So they're a bunch of whiny little bitches because they're working in the same space. So the roles have been reversed. But I will say this, I would much rather hang out with a woman that acts like a man than a man that acts like a woman any day. Which kind of sort of proves that men are still preferable. Okay? Now, I don't think that women should be put in this situation at all. They encourage women to join the workforce because they want women to stay miserable. Because the more miserable that women are, the more of an opportunity socialism has to advance, and they can completely take over with their terrible ideology. And so I'm totally against it. And I know it seems like hypocritical because I work, but you know, that's the society that I live in. I have to work. And I'm not going to be a housewife because I'm fucking schizo. And we don't do people. We don't do people. We don't do relationships. We suck at that sort of thing. We can't even stand being around people for like longer than an hour. Like why would I put myself in that situation, you know? I know myself pretty damn well. And it's always people that don't know me that wanna tell me like, oh, you're putting yourself in a prison. Honey Bear, let me explain something to you, okay? Anytime that I'm around people for too long, I feel like I'm in prison. I do. And whenever I get to the bathroom and I can have that alone time again, it's like, let freedom ring, you know? Like that's how I feel. Anytime that I'm by myself, it's just like, hallelujah, hallelujah. You know? It's just incredible. And if that's how I feel when I'm alone, then there ain't nothing that anybody can do for me. You understand? You don't understand because you're probably codependent. Okay? Everybody is on some level with our society. You've been trained to think that you're supposed to be in a relationship, you're supposed to have sex, you're supposed to make babies and all this shit. Let me tell you something. The reason why everything's so screwed up is because people are having babies when they shouldn't be having babies. You shouldn't just have a baby all because you get pregnant, okay? Now, I don't agree with abortion, but people shouldn't be having sex if they don't want to procreate. They shouldn't. They shouldn't be doing these things if they're not ready for the consequences. But, you know, I'm cluster A personality type. We just don't understand human behavior. I mean, it's not logical. The ways that society behaves are not logical. You have all these kids falling through the cracks of the system, all these kids that aren't being taken care of, all these kids that have such irresponsible parents. And I know that I'm a good person and shit, but like that doesn't mean that I should be a mom, you know? Because being a mom would require me to have sex with somebody, okay? Having sex with somebody, that would require me to be in love with that person and marry that person, okay? If I marry that person, I'm gonna have to be able to stand them. And the only way that I can stand them is if I spend time with them, okay? I can't spend time with anybody, like, I feel like I'm crawling out of my damn skin every time I try. I force myself to do that because I know that it's good for me and it's good for other people to be around me and be immersed in my joyful presence, okay? But it's like, I know that I'm funny and talented, and people always like say that they want me to come out more. You know, it wasn't until COVID that I finally started doing that. It wasn't until we were told like, oh, you're gonna get sick if you leave the house. The government doesn't want you to do that. That I was like, fuck it, I'm going. You know, that was really what motivated me more than anything else. Really, my hatred of this world and my non-compliance with this shit show of a culture, okay? That's really the reason why I finally got out. But doesn't mean I like people anymore than I did before. I just realized that going out and doing comedy, you know, that's God's will. That's what he wants me to do. And you know, for me to not do it is just slapping him in the face and saying, I don't care that you gave me this gift. Fuck you. I'm just going to sit at my house and smoke weed or masturbate or, you know, whatever. Like, I'd rather make him happy because contrary to how much fun that sounds, I actually wasn't happy doing that. So, you know, and I think that these people on planet Earth, they're not living according to God's will, which is why they're so miserable. You think that it's God's will for you to like sit around and stare at a phone all day? You think that's God's will? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, that might be the mark of the beast? Think about it. You should read Revelations again. I should too, because I don't think I've read it enough.